correcting us. We are correcting the book. We have a new approach to life, and we are using that to correct the old book, or the books that we consider to be old, coming from the Almighty God for some reason, But then again, we have to keep on to find out. Exodus, the burning bush, God sends him to go to Israel to sort of pick the Jews from there. Then Moses returns to Egypt, and he had to fulfill what God has asked him to do. Now here we see God demonstrating the killing of the firstborn babies. God sending frogs, all kinds of things to, some of the, as I said, these are all terrible, wicked, means things that has been done, that had to be done to a tribe of people at that time, through miraculous and divine ways of God. It was revealed somehow God allowed so many, the sea became red like blood and all that. And God, somehow ends up at some point killing all the firstborns of the Egyptian people, the children, firstborn. What has the firstborn done? What did the firstborn do? Because they are they are going to grow to inherit their parents or something. It's like they're going to, if is a king's son, he'll be the first to be the king. The king respects his first child, so something to sort of creating something painful to hurt the parents of Egypt, the Egyptian parents, that, hey, this is painful, my firstborn is dead, and because Moses said that, and it has happened, something to do, put them through all that, whilst they could have easily allowed the Egyptians to go. Why should God provoke or somehow encourage the idea of putting them through something which they will have resentment towards the people, the Jews, or their God, or towards him? Why will God do anything of that nature to sort of cause that kind of animosity, that kind of anger towards himself or the Jewish people? As I said, when I end up having these words of "let God be God" coming out of my mouth in that place, if God really has done that, spirit that did that has really created a sense of hatred and whatever around my life, and I could see those things. I could see that there was some arising hatred around my life that had no meaning to it. Why, I don't know. But I went through it anyway. So it's not necessarily something you can see that the living God will end up going out there and commanding the people and telling them that, oh, do this, or he has to do it through a man. He won't do that. He may be doing that. He may do that, because according to the book, it says that he did that. But I'm saying here that if we define him as we define him, then that is not necessary. We cannot see him in that manner. We cannot view him in that way. No. But that's how the book says, let my people go. Now, these are also the warnings that were coming through the lips of Moses, telling the Jews to leave, telling Pharaoh to allow the Jews to go. And God renews his promise to Israel. Okay, now it goes on. It says Moses before Pharaoh. He was still negotiating the release of his fellow tribe mates, or his fellow people, that's the Jews, and he was still negotiating, with Pharaoh. Pharaoh was difficult, so God had to let lice and frogs come into the place, and the cattle had to die. All sort of things were happening. Locusts coming into the country in the dark. God was warning about the Egyptians' firstborn. The firstborns were taken, if you go through 11. And God establishes the Passover at that time, when he says they were, they have to, put some mark to distinguish their doors from the doors of the Egyptians. as the angel of death will be coming to kill the firstborns and all that. So it's like terrible things are happening. And they took all the things you have to take, and went on all the way to how Israel remembered the Exodus 13 and 14, crossing the Red Sea. So they have to, end up being released to go. They end up crossing the Red Sea. And sadly enough, they following, pursuing them. They were even, God made them, put them in a situation where they have to pursue them again, and they all died during the water came over them. I mean, why would it happen that way? It's a terrible thing, they were people. God knew that 400 years this will happen to them, yet He let them go and live there. God gave a vision to Joseph. Is that true? Or who was doing all that? It's like the world has got this ability, the tendency to sort of be natural as it's meant to be. And there are spirits that are seeing these things and they are directing us how to live in the world or something like that. Because clearly, God knew that, because He's a God who knows the future and the past. He knew definitely that 400 years to come. If He didn't know, He wouldn't prophesy. He knew that these Israelis people will have to, the Jews have to go and live there. He who also, made those plague, or let's say those things, the hunger to come upon all those areas, and gave a dream to the king, in order to the sense that he is telling the king, the Pharaoh king, who does not worship him. That king there, the Egyptian king, was not worshiping Jehovah. They had their own worship. They worship gods. And he has got a vision. The vision to save him from whatever, that was about to happen. Why was that necessary? The people don't worship you. You go there, you give a vision, you give them the light of what is going to happen. Whilst Jacob was outside there, and he doesn't know that hunger is coming. And he end up, even though Joseph also had a vision about something happening and he becoming a king, it wasn't detailedly showed. But Jacob had to be hungry that he has to come to Egypt to buy food. He has to come to Egypt to buy food. They've concocted this story and put it there, but you think about it, will it be necessary? God knowing, if I know all these things, why would I put my people, a chosen man that I have blessed, that I know I'm going to let his descendant become what, and people will look at them and be blessed and follow them and all that. And then I put him to a situation where he will end up going to the countries where, they don't even worship God. Today they say America, which claim God a lot, had to end up going to China, that is not a Christian country, to borrow money to feed themselves. Now, the same God is blessing those who are not even, what does that tell us? Those who don't even believe in Him or follow Him. What does that tell us? Is there any lesson to sort of encourage people along that line? I don't see any lesson from that. But that is what is happening here. That Jehovah has this, the tendency of going to those He will call as the Gentiles, or He has proved to His people that they are not, they are of the world and they are not part of them, and they should separate themselves. He goes to them and He even bless them and open doors for them, and He would rather let His people go and serve there and all that, which is very, it's not a normal thing, not a weird thing, but it's coming from a story. What if that is not what happened? What if God did not even do that? What if this? Because I doubt that God did that. I doubt for good reasons, and the reasons what I'm opening up to you. I doubt for a very, very good reason that He will not do that. The storyline is being made to look nice and to sort of become acceptable. But along the way, you're thinking it through, they haven't done a good job. It doesn't look like it came from God, because God will not put up such a story. which I've got